Hi, this is Catherine. This is Taking Tea with Catherine. This is Neil's Yard Remedies tea called After Dinner Peppermint and Dandelion Root Tea. I got it in Neil's Yard in London. It's a nice herbal tea, very relaxing, very good for that. So I thought that would be pretty good to accompany my first of, I think, 3 possible hauls that I'm doing. I think from my London trip. Yes, I finally got to go to London after 5 years and, canceled plans or, deferred plans and hoping, okay, maybe in 6 months I could do it, etc. And finally, I wouldn't even believe, I couldn't even, I said, I won't believe it until I literally have traffic. I wouldn't believe it until I had my luggage stashed at the hotel because they let you do that while, before check-in. And I was walking around with my friend going to the Muffin Man, which is where we usually go first to have our jet lag pick me up tea and scone. It's so wonderful. But anyway, so I was like literally, maybe not literally. I don't know. I was very much in a way of I don't want to get my hopes up. That's all it was. And I've said that before in the past, but I've always said it sort of facetiously and not as seriously because all of my trips in the, in the past never had like anything to really anything to worry about. It always happened. It always happened. There was never any reason for me to cancel any trip. So this happened, and now I was like, I won't believe it until I'm there. So anyway, long-winded way of me saying I was a doubting Thomas, but I had reason to be. But I did make it. I made it, and I did go to a good number of bookshops. Now, I'll take the bad news first, which is that I didn't do a good amount of used book shopping. I did go to a couple of used bookshops, and they were good, but I didn't have anything there that I was particularly drawn to. And there were a number of them, particularly bookshops in Bloomsbury, that I didn't really get to, that I feel bad about in a way, because I said, oh, I really intended to go to these shops and a couple other ones, and it didn't work out. And I don't feel terrible about it, because to me, anytime there's something I don't get to do, I say next time and hope that there is a next time. Maybe there will be. But either way, I did get to go to bookshops, and I bought a good amount. I bought around 15 books. One of them was a gift, so you won't see that here. And so I ended up taking home for myself 15 books because I bought of this group 14, and one I found in a little free library. So that was the only, I think, actual used book that I think that I have. And so I'm going to show it to you in themes, not so much divided by the bookshops. And there's a good reason for that, because pretty much most of the bookshops that I ended up buying books in London were all in some way owned or related to Waterstones, because that's a thing that's happened in recent years. Waterstones was flailing a little bit, and then they pulled it together, and they ended up sort of, I don't know about acquiring or whatever the business word is for it. So a lot of the new bookshops, bookshops that sell new books, a lot of them are part of Waterstones. And sometimes Waterstones sells used books too. But anyway, at least one or two of the places that I know of. So I was a little, that you could say that was basically all I did then. But I think they retained some of their charms. So, for instance, I went to Foyles twice. One time I was able to get a couple of things in the nonfiction, and then we had to go. And then the second time I ended up mostly getting fiction. And so I don't mind going places twice when I really like them. I love Foyles. I was able to go to Hatchards, which is one of the oldest bookshops in London, and it's beautiful. It's around the Piccadilly area, which is not my favorite area, but that is pretty cool. And I got to go to a Waterstones in Gower Street. I think it's called Gower Street. Me and my pronunciation, I'm never too sure. One of the appeals to that is that it's a very Pre-Raphaelite area. The actual group of Pre-Raphaelites, the Brotherhood, as they called it, was founded on that street. I saw the plaque. And the bookshop that I went to, which is a Waterstones now, is really beautiful building. If you go on my Instagram, you'll see the pictures. It's across the street from a hotel called the Arufsa, which is where John Everett Millay lived at some point, and he is one of my favorite Raphaelites. So that was pretty cool. That was the Waterstones that we chose for this trip, and I don't regret that. And it was kind of in the Bloomsbury area, so I did at least get to hit one. And then we had Indian food at Dishoom in King's Cross. That is just not, that's beside the point, but I'm going to say for, that was a really good, that was a really good, it was actually a lunch, but it was really good. Excuse me, so enough rambling. I will show you today, because it's the introduction to my London book hauls. Oh, another side point. I'm just going to go off into yet another tangent, but it's a small tangent, I hope. One of the things that helped me, I don't know, or aided me and abetted me in buying all these books was the fact that the pound had dropped quite a lot against the dollar while I was there, to the point that it was almost worth the same, which was a first for me. And though I know it's not really good for people living in the UK, and I'm sorry about that, I took advantage of it, because books that were like this particular book I have here that's £10 would normally be worth at least $15 or so, or more, depending on which time I went. And I might have hesitated, but now it was almost worth $10. So that's pretty great, even though here it actually says in dollars, it says $18.95. So yeah, I mean, anyway, that doesn't mean I just bought everything, because I did have to bring it home with me. But one of the, I guess you call it, strategies was that I tried to buy books that I couldn't find that easily in New York, especially in the library. I would check against the library to make sure it wasn't there. And if it was, I'd put it on hold in the library. So I just discovered books that just sounded like things that I wanted, and I was so happy. So these are 4 books that are themed in some way around London itself. So I thought that was just great. And also kind of books about books-ish, which, well, 2 of them are, and I love that. So, ish. So the first one I'm going to show you is by Jackie Collis Harvey, and this is Walking Pepys's London. 2 of these books have the double S's, and I'm not used to that. I've always been accustomed to just having an apostrophe at the end of S, and I would have said Walking Pepys London, because I've always heard Pepys Diary, not Pepys's Diary. But anyway, this is just walking in the areas that Pepys walked, his London, which is quite a different London to now, and also around the time of the Great Fire, of course, and that's our man himself, lovely man. And I just thought, oh, this is just so me. And I think my friend might have also bought this book. I'm not sure. This might have been the one that we said, let's do a buddy read of this. So maybe. But isn't it beautiful? It got a slight dent in the top. There's so annoying, but I am a little bit of a perfectionist. I hate when books have any kind of damage, the slightest damage, before I get to read them. But I'll live with it. So speaking of double S's, this is another one, and I thought, surprisingly, I didn't buy Victorian books really during this trip. I thought I would, but it just didn't happen, and that's okay, because I covered a lot of Victorian literature purchases in Chicago, of all things. So it's not like I have a lack. So but I was thinking about it, so this I thought would be also appropriate. And this is Dickens. This is London by Peter Clark. I think that's supposed to be Mr. Dickens himself. Let me make sure. Does it say in here? It looks like him, but I'm not an expert. Well, let's just assume he is. It looks like him. Why not? I think. Where's the thing that says there's very little accreditation saying this is this, and usually you'll see what the artwork is in these. I'm a little disappointed about that, actually. I like to know. But anyway, this is an armchair traveler book. I guess that's a thing. I would like to get more of them, I guess, because... Wait, this is also an armchair traveler book. Yeah, that makes sense. They're kind of the same size, and walking/history, this one says, and this one says travel/London. Okay. Well, I love that. I like the name. I like the expression armchair traveler, because most of my traveling ends up being that, even about London. So that will be nice for me to remember certain things while I'm missing London, I could say, well, this is where this happened. And also because I have read quite a few Dickenses, so that's great. And yeah, I like this. Few novelists have written as intimately about a city as Charles Dickens has about London. A near photographic memory made his contact with the city indelible from a young age, and it remained his constant focus. From the coaching inns of his early years, I went to one of them, the George Inn. The food wasn't that great, but it was a cool looking place. To the taverns and watermen of the Thames, London provided a constant cityscape for his life and work. Peter Clarke illuminates scenes from Dickens's life, Jerusalem, journalism, and fiction, both through a series of inner city walks and descriptions of London's first suburbs. So, okay, I think I'll enjoy this. And it includes 5 walking routes through central London with accompanying maps. I think I got this when I was already into my trip, so, or did I get this maybe? This might have been the first one I got, one of the first trips. Whatever. So I didn't really get to use it for my actual trip. And that's okay, because again, another time maybe. All right. So now I like books about walking because I love walking. I'm not a very active person physically in terms of really good strenuous exercise, sports, anything like that. Which is sad. I have bad knees, I have asthma, I'm pathetic. But I gotta knock myself. I do as much as I can. I have gone to the gym before, but not recently. Too cheap. But one thing I love is walking, and as long as I can still walk, I am going to walk as much as possible when I go places. I will find the most comfortable shoes that also kind of look nice, hopefully, and I will walk and walk and walk. And so this is what I love. I think you could tell by looking at these books that I'm a fan of walking, and as long as I can, I will appreciate it. So again, speaking of walking, I'm looking at the back of this one to make sure this is not an armchair traveler. It's not. It's just a travel/local history, but not local to me, but local to London. Yay. Anyway, this is Mark Mason's Walk the Lines. Yep. The London Underground Overground. So I think that's cool. I like you got the little walking shoes, you got the lines. This looks like the District and Circle, and I think the Piccadilly and the Central Line. Oh, I didn't get to do the Elizabeth line. Alas, it just didn't work out for me, but Okay, so I'm going to read the back. It says, the only way to truly discover a city, they say, is on foot. Taking this to extremes, Mark Mason sets out to walk the entire length of the London Overground, passing every station on the way. Wow, that's a lot. In a story packed with historical trivia, my thing, personal musings, sometimes my thing, and eavesdropped conversations, sure, Mark learns how to get the best gossip in the city, where to find a pint at 7 a.m., airport, by the way, but might be somewhere else. That's not a spoiler. And why the Bank of England won't let you join the M11 northbound at Junction 5. He has an East End cup of tea with the crazed official biographer, discovers what cabbies mean by on the cotton, and meets the Archer star who was the voice of Mind the Gap. Okay. Over the course of several hundred miles, Mark contemplates London's contradictions as well as its charms. He gains insights into our fascination with maps and sees how walking changes our view of the world. Above all, in this love letter to a complicated friend, he celebrates the sights, sounds, and soul of the greatest city on earth. Sounds great. I hope he has a better sense of direction than I do. I am great at getting around somehow, the actual underground system. I mean, I guess maybe because I'm also used to the New York system, it's part of me. And New York is a little easier to get around in terms of, especially if you're in one of the areas, it's a grid system area. London's a bit all over the place. It's like when you're in New York and suddenly you hit Greenwich Village and it's, where am I? How do I get around? Oh, wait, I turned over here. I thought I was supposed to go here. And so I'm really easily lost. So I like reading about other people's walks and see if they get lost or not. So we'll see if that happens. I was kind of on the fence about this one, even though it sounded wonderful to me. So I did my test, which is I opened the book to see if there's a paragraph that just sounds interesting to me. And the first thing I came to was that he was checking into a certain hotel. And he was describing checking into this hotel, and it happened to be the hotel I was staying at. And I'm like, Okay, it's mine. So yeah, very happy about that. Last and not least, oh, it's such a beautiful picture too. This is really a fiction book because it is by Christopher Fowler, who writes the Bryant and May books, and he finished the series supposedly, which is heartbreaking for me because I just love that series, even though it's pretty long. So I actually have one or two in the midst that I didn't read. But it's I think the ones I didn't read were ones that didn't take place mostly in London, and I like the ones that take place in London more than anything because that's kind of the whole appeal of these particular books. Um, so yeah, so I have certain ones saved, but I'm not caring about that as much. And I guess I could reread them. But then I saw this book in Hatchards. Actually, my friend found it, and I was like, "Do you know what this is?" And she was like, "Oh, it's that series." Yeah, I was like, "Yeah, it's this series I always talk about, especially because my friend's name is in this title." But anyway, some of it is actually. So this is Christopher Fowler, Bryant and May's Peculiar London. Look at that beautiful, oh my goodness, picture. It is so gorgeous. It says, "Our mysterious, eccentric, elusive capital city as you've never seen it before." It is, so that's pretty cool. I will read the little synopsis in here. Oh, look at that. It's kind of nice purple and blue. It's very pretty. Um, As the nation's oldest serving detectives, we know more about London than most. We've been walking its streets and arresting its citizens for decades, so who better to take you on a tour of the capital's peculiar side? The main characters, by the way, Bryant and May, are pretty elderly, so they have been doing this for a while. Here we uncover its odd buildings and even odder characters, and hold forth on lost venues, forgotten disasters, confusing routes, dubious gossip, illicit pleasures, and hidden pubs. You'll find we argue a lot about pubs. Assisted by some of our disreputable friends, experts in their own dodgy fields, we endeavor to shine a light on things you never knew you needed to know. Why some streets have genders, for example, and why only 2 Londoners have ever met Dracula. Or how a department store, and a prison played with our minds, and where the devils hide. Along the way, you'll find yourself bluffed and bamboozled as we make all sorts of random connections that prove why it's almost impossible to separate fact from fiction in this city. And by willfully wandering off course, willfully wandering. British Library Crime Classics. Okay. We hope to capture something of London's restless spirit. So why not join us on our magical mystery tour? Quite where we'll end up is anybody's guess, but that's all part of the fun. So it's a bit different than the other books. Oh, look. They included a bookmark in there. Look how pretty that is. Oh, beautiful. Anyway, so I think this will be fun because it's obviously fiction, but it's all just so London based. So yeah, that's just the beginning. These are just, how many did I just show you? 4 books that are London themed, and then I have another stack of non-fictions that are primarily about England, but also other things. And then I have some fiction books, and so those will be 2, I think, separate hauls that I'll do, and maybe I'll tell some stories about my trip to London, and maybe I won't. We'll see. I usually tend to ramble into things, so that will be what happens. Probably I will just suddenly say, "Yeah, we went here, and I went here, and I ate here," as I've been doing. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Please comment below if you've been to any of these bookshops: Hatchards, Foyles, Waterstones. Also, I went to Word on the Water, which I didn't get anything this time, but I took a nice little video. That was one of my recent videos that I enjoyed doing. Very short, if you want to watch it. My friend got something there, so that was good. And what was I going to say? Yeah. So yeah, let me know if you've been to any of these bookshops, if there are any bookshops that you particularly want to visit if you've not been, or if you haven't been in a while, or any places that you think that if I missed it that I really have to go to next time, or if you just want to talk about any of these books, anything related to this, tea, whatever, London, of course, please comment below. And if you like talking about these things, because these are things I talk about a lot, I don't ever stop talking about London and or New York, because I live in New York. So feel free to subscribe, and thank you for watching. This is Catherine at Taking Tea with Catherine. Have a lovely tea and book-filled day. and Londonville Day. Yeah.